You were looking at the soon-to-be brand-new Morris Family Health and Fitness Complex as we're here for the 2025 Glenville State Football Media Day inside the beautiful Waco Center. With me now is the quarterback of the Pioneers, Anthony Garrett. Anthony, thanks for being here today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, you're entering your third full season as a starter, but you've also started 6 games as a true freshman, so you're really not lacking any experience. What has those last 3 years taught you as you head into your senior campaign?
It really taught me a lot. It taught me ups. It taught me downs. It taught me a lot of adversity. It taught me how to be a better leader, be a better follower, because the best leaders are great followers. You always need a stepping stone, so it taught me a lot.
And then last year coming in, there was a lot of inexperience and new faces, really, besides Tariq Miller at wide receiver. Now you're going into the year with all 4 of your top receivers coming back from a year ago. How much does this help you when it comes to execution and that trust between you and your receivers?
It helps me a lot, actually, because trust is the biggest thing as a quarterback. I need to trust my line. I need to trust my receivers, my defense to give me the ball back. I need to have a lot of trust, so that helps a lot.
And then speaking of Tariq Miller, he's also entering his senior year, and it's somebody you've been here for all 3 years. He was an all-MEC second teamer last year and really was your go-to guy and had multiple 100-plus receiving games. And when you think about him, think about that big play he had at Charleston. The 50-50 ball goes up and gets it, takes it to the house. What is it about Tariq that has propelled him to what he's become now? Really
his work ethic. And me and him came in at the same time, so that helps a lot. So that connection is really there. So that's really one of my main guys for real.
And now you're the quarterback of a team whose head coach is a former quarterback, and he's also your quarterback coach, and he also calls the plays. What's that like when he's seeing what you're seeing and you can work through the offense together?
It really helps a lot because he makes me look good because he knows what's going on, and he helps me a lot with that. So that helps me with reading the defense. He taught me a lot how to get the ball out faster and not get sacked. So it really helps a lot.
And he also brings a lot of different variations at some defenses. He gives you the flexibility to mix in the tight ends, the running backs. You got 3 tight ends at 6'4" bigger, so you got some big targets. And also Xavier Wood had over 150 receiving yards out of the backfield. How does having these different options that aren't your receivers help you spread out the offense?
That's actually big for this offense, and I'll say this conference, because those guys go unforgotten. So they'll just be lingering on the field wide open. So that helps a lot with me just checking it down to him and still getting the same amount of yards as taking a shot. So.
And talking about Wood, you also have him and Jeremiah King returning in the backfield. When the run game is successful, what's that do for you open up the passing game?
It opens up a lot because it'll scare the defense. They'll load the box, and then that'll just open up our pass game a lot because we got a lot of great receivers that can run, catch, and everything, so that helps a lot.
And then looking at the team last year, you went 7-4 and 7-2 in the conference, which was second in the league. It was the best finish in Glenville State history since joining the league in 2013. Reaching that next level is obviously winning a conference championship.
Yes,
how do you feel you and the Pioneers can reach that in 2024?
I feel like it's just going to be work. We got a lot of great guys. It's just we're a little on the younger side, but that's good because they're easier to coach. They're more open to learning new things and everything. It's really just about facing the adversity with the 11 away games. So it's just going to be a mental game this year.
Well, and there you have it, as quarterback of the Pioneers, Anthony Garrett. Stay tuned, as up next we have the reigning MEC Defensive Freshman of the Year, Jaden McClendon Parker, at the 2025 Glenville State Football Media Day.
Switch to Chantel right now and get your first month of internet free. The fastest internet at an unbeatable value. Plus, we are backed by friendly, helpful support from real people in your area. Call or visit Chantel.com today.
We are back here in Central West Virginia for the 2025 Glenville State Football Media Day as the MEC Defensive Freshman of the Year, Jaden McClendon Parker, joins the show. Jaden, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Jay, I want to go back to last year's fall camp. When the staff brought you in, they were really excited about the addition, but the transition from high school to college can be tough for some guys. That really wasn't the case for you. You were on the 2 deep early, and then an injury at safety really boosted you as a starter there earlier in the year. What was that transition like for you as you go from the new guy to now you're starting in the back end of the defense?
I say surreal because everybody, when you get recruited out of high school, you're kind of the man at your school. So now you come into a whole new ball game. Coming here at Glenville, I had amazing guys at safety, and just the DB room in general. You had Sean Sterling, you had Brandon Penn, you had Sean Scott, you had Mark Shepard, you had Devontae Roberson, you had Dre. You had a lot of guys, so just that transition to going from being on the 2 deep early and then starting after like my second game was just it was a really cool moment.
And defensive coordinator J.J. Mayer is also your defensive backs coach. How much did that help last year as you were still learning the defense early on and adjusting to college football?
I couldn't be more grateful that our defensive coordinator was our DB coach, because you kind of get the defensive coordinator side in him and you also get the DB side of him. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
And you were second in the MEC last year and 25th nationally in interceptions, as well as fourth in all of Division II for freshmen in that category. What was working so well for you when it came to takeaways?
I say the position that Coach Mayer put me in, he allowed me to be myself, be a playmaker for this team, and also the schemes that we put out there. I feel like our defense is a force to be reckoned with, no matter who we play, whether it's a good team, mediocre team, or one of the best teams.
And you get that first year in the defense out of the way. How comfortable are you now as you head into your second season?
I feel like I'm still getting my feet wet, but I feel like my comfortability level has definitely taken a big notch up. So I feel like this is going to be a really good season for me.
And what you did in 2024, you're not a secret anymore. Everybody knows who you are. You won Freshman of the Year. Your name's going to be out there. You also have former All-Conference performer Brandon Penn is back, and some other guys are back there in the defense, like you already mentioned earlier. What do you feel this group can do once again to be a strength of the defense in 2025?
I feel like with the guys coming back, we got Brandon Penn, obviously. We got EJ. We got Sean Scott. And then we also got some new guys coming in. I feel like it's just going to be a really good test for our defense, because there's a lot of guys that left the scene, and then you got guys from the spring ball we added, from mid-year transfers, and then we got freshmen, and then people in new positions that we had on the team last year. So I'm really excited. And
we talked about all the good you did last year, but I wanted to ask you, what do you feel you've improved on or worked on, and why did you want to add that to your game?
I feel like when people, they search me up and they look at my stats, they see I got a lot of interceptions, but like the tackles isn't where people would want to see from like somebody as me. So I feel like this spring we focus on me. We know we could do what I could do as a playmaker, but as far as like my tackling is getting more tackles and stuff like that.
And I asked Anthony, I was going to ask you the same thing. You went 7-4 in 2024, 7-2 in the league. Like I mentioned, it was the best finish in conference. But reaching that next level is winning the conference championship. What do you feel you and the Pioneers can do to reach that in 2025?
Be consistent all year. I feel like this group is a really good group. You got the offensive side, as you mentioned, we had Ant earlier. You got Amari, you got Reek, you got Cordell, you got Z9, you got J. King. You still got the offensive line. You got returners coming back. And I just feel like everybody on this team hungry. I feel like we came in second, but really we were only one game away last year when we played Charleston. So I feel like this group's really hungry, and just to make a statement in this conference, and not only the conference, but just in D2 in general.
And that is it from sophomore defensive back Jaiden McClendon Parker. Stay tuned, as up next we'll have head coach of the Pioneers, Mike Keller.
What gets you going? Coffee? Snacks? Prizes? At GoMart, we've got you covered.
Welcome back inside the Waco Center for the final interview of the 2025 Glenville State Football Media Day with seventh-year head coach Mike Keller. Coach, thanks for being here today.
It's great being here.
All right, Coach, you started out 0-2 last year. You finished the year winning 7 out of your last 9. Just describe what 2024 was, like the roller coaster it was for you guys.
I guess it was a little bit of a roller coaster. You mentioned that, I've been here more than a few years, and the first few years we really started out kind of hot at the beginning of the year, and then played our season as a roller coaster. Last year, I thought a couple of the better teams we played from a physical standpoint were early on. Coincidentally, we opened up with those same 2 teams this year. And, for whatever reason, if we weren't ready, if it was on the road, if it was the way, whatever it was, we didn't have a great start to the season. It was one of those deals where I thought we had a good football team. I could see us practice, and I knew we had the size, we had the ability, I knew we had the want to. I just believed with all my heart it was a matter until it came together, and it's kind of the way the season played out. We came together, won middle of the year, battled, won one, lost one, went back and forth, and then toward the end of the year won our last 5 to finish with a pretty good season.
And I mentioned the 0-2 start last year. Does that change anything for how you do fall camp this year, or do you keep it the same?
No, this will be my 31st year, I think, coaching, and the fall camps have been similar. The NCAA's had more to do with the changes than anything the coaches have done. Your prep's your prep. prep. Having a week 0 game was a little bit different for us because then you get the bye week, somewhere in the early part of the season. That part was a little bit different. But no, your prep's your prep. You got X amount of practices to get in your installs, and you want to go through them and, getting your team in good physical condition, getting them in a mental place where they can compete week in and week out, and then obviously getting your schemes and find out who your people are that's been consistent over the years.
And in that 5-game winning streak you mentioned at the end of the season, the offense averaged over 34 points per game. The defense only gave up around 18 points per game. Do you feel that finish of the year kind of gave you a better idea of the team's strengths and weaknesses as you head into 2025?
Well, I mean, you hope that momentum carries over, but the truth of the matter, momentum is just in your mind. It's each team's its own entity. Each year is its own year. I mean, we signed, 16 kids at mid-year, that were here all January, all through spring ball, and then our talk, we talked about the 13 that we signed, over the summer, and that's not counting the 40 high school kids. So each team's its own team and its own entity. You hope that leadership and that core group and a lot of their starters that are returning, you hope that they learned lessons through those, and the lessons that they learn, you hope that permeates through the rest of your team and through your locker room.
And speaking of 2025, a bulk of your returning production is on the offensive side of the ball. You're starting quarterback, 2 of your 3 top running backs, all 4 of your top receivers, pretty much all your tight ends, and then 3 offensive linemen who have started. How big is it to be able to return that much production?
Well, it makes you feel better, to know that you've seen these guys playing games and you got an idea how they're going to react, when things are going bad or when things are going good. You kind of know how they, who they are as players at this point, and you try to remind them of that, and then you kind of expect that. Them doing that at the end of the year tells me that they're more than capable. Now, let's hope we can keep that going.
But then on the defensive side of the ball, it's a completely different story. You lost 7 All-MVC performers, including an All-American and Jameer Diaz. But you do bring back Jaiden McClendon, who was the MVC Defensive Freshman of the Year. There's guys who have played some meaningful snaps, like Tank Gant, Brandon Penn, a few other guys. How do you feel the defense is progressing through the camp with so much new in there?
Well, when we talked about those signees, a lot of those signees that we're talking about were for the defensive side of the ball. So, when you look at the heights and the weights, and as I like to say, when you see the arms and the legs, you go, wow, these guys are, good football players. Now, how quickly they can become a unit, the way that team, the team you're talking about that held people to 18 points a game the last 5, that group of kids played a lot of ball together. This group has not. When you see them, in picture day, you're going to say, man, they look the part, but how does that permeate into the ball games? We'll see.
And I know it's early, and like I already mentioned camp a little bit, we're around 3 weeks away until your season opener, but overall, do you like where the guys are so far in camp?
We've had 4 practices. We've practiced in the hottest part of the day. We are not in football shape, and unfortunately for them, as I keep reminding them, and they did a great job over the summer. I'm not really complaining about that, but unfortunately for them, the only way you get in football shape is by playing football. Yeah. So, we're off today, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. So we're going to keep doing the drills that we're doing and battling like we are in the heat of the day, and we're going to play them into shape.
And you still got another week of camp. Kind of walk me through how this works. Is it a lot of evaluation, install, any prep for Emory and Henry? What's that like for you guys?
Right now, it's all install and evaluation. It's really about creating your culture as to who you're going to be as a team. How competitive you're going to be in a standard of play. At least I like to think that started back in January when we were lifting, continued through spring ball, continued through the summer. But it's really, as I'm telling you that, I know it's half a lie because there's so many new kids. That that this fall camp is critical to turning a bunch of athletes into a team.
And then finishing up here, you finished second in the league in 2024. What's it going to take for you all to reach that next level? I mentioned it to Anthony and Jaden, that conference championship level in 2025.
Yeah, it's just them playing up to their standard. I mean, do we have enough talent to win this thing? We do. I mean, there's not a team that we play against that I will go out there and think, oh, they are considerably better than us. That's the positive. The negative is there's not a time that we play that I look at the game and go, oh, we're considerably better than this team. I mean, the league ranking are probably coming out here shortly, and whoever they got picked first, whoever they got picked last, they're really a whole lot of difference, in the middle there. And the truth of the matter is, week in, week out, the league is very, whether you want to call it strong week, whatever, I think it's a good league. But it's even. It's a very even league, and week in, week out, you have to play to win. And that what it's going to take is consistency. It's going to take consistency for 11 weeks.
And that'll do it for the 2025 Glenville State Football Media Day from here inside the Waco Center. Make sure you all tune into the Mike Keller Show every Wednesday as the season progresses. And thank you all very much for watching.